Rich Proctor, my man of the year is Ed Rollins. Unlike other politicians who lie and say they're telling the truth, he said he lied and everyone accused him of being honest.
I'm Leah Krinsky. Woman of the year, Hillary Clinton. Man of the year, Hillary Clinton.
I'm Steve Steich. My woman of the year is Attorney General Janet Reno. I think of her as America's assistant principal, with that where's your hall pass look that makes Ted Koppel wish he'd booked Bob Dole instead.
Welcome to a year's worth.
It's a year's worth with Will Durst, where we boil down 52 weeks of news, people, media, and Vladimir the Bear into a 1-hour video gumbo. It's us versus them, and we're on your side. So stay tuned and find out just what this year was worth on a year's worth. Now, here's Will.
Happy New Year. You know, after making it through 1993, we've come to the conclusion that if you're not confused, you're not paying attention. We're here to help. 93 was an odd one. It was 12 months that found a hooker in Hollywood. Who knew? Many college students were killed by lying down in the middle of freeways because they saw it in a movie. One of these guys also thought you could run off a cliff and not fall as long as you didn't look down. If you're looking for crazy, 93 had it. The World Trade Center bomber went back for his car rental deposit. 4 times. He gave his real name. This guy probably applied for an intent to bomb permit and nobody noticed. And I love the FBI. They said, and I quote, "We have not ruled out a bomb." Let me get this straight. A 6-story hole in the World Trade Center, you have not ruled out a bomb. Question, what have you ruled out? A highly defective can of cream corn? All you can eat burrito night? A Pinto backing into a GMC truck? What? Michael Jackson was, how do I put this, accused of activities that the Make-A-Wish Foundation was unaware of. I mean, the poor guy's obviously in the midst of an identity crisis. First, he thinks he's Diana Ross. Now he thinks he's a Catholic priest. Remember when all anyone worried about was him touching himself? 93 saw the changing of the guard. George Herbert Walker Bush left Washington, went home to his rented room in a bankrupt hotel in Houston, as the 43rd Commander-in-Chief William Jefferson Blythe Clinton and Hillary were inaugurated. Let us pray. They are the first yuppie first couple. Bill's a lawyer, Hillary's a lawyer. 13 of their 18 cabinet appointments are lawyers. How effective can a government be when it shuts down every time an ambulance roars down Pennsylvania? And poor Chelsea. Can you imagine going through puberty in front of all of mankind? They had to send Chelsea to private school. I mean, you know what the public schools in D.C. are like. Secret Service couldn't guarantee their own safety in there. It'd be pretty embarrassing to be outgunned by the 7th grade. Sir, we retreated in the face of superior firepower. Campfire girls were packing, sir. It was Waco all over again. Yeah, Waco. What if Koresh was Jesus? Strike 2. I still can't figure out what the Branch Davidians are doing wrong. They were hoarding guns in Texas. Isn't that like acting spacey at a Grateful Dead concert? The good news, there is good news. Clinton promised to balance his budget by only raising taxes on the rich. Bad news, turns out, we're all rich. Who knew? My theory is if we can just get through Clinton's round of tax hikes without it costing us much more than Reagan's round of tax cuts, I think we'll be okay. And now Rich Proctor has more on Clinton's first year. Rich?
Thanks, Will. You know, so much of the coverage of the president's first year wasn't really about him, but rather about public opinion polls and political clout. 5 major newspapers actually declared his presidency over after a week. I mean, it's such a crapshoot, I figured the most appropriate way to cover it, well, was as a game.
Cool.
Okay, then, all right, let's play What's My Line Grab? With our contestant, our host. Okay, Will, you know the game's played?
No.
I point to a point in the graph here. You tell me what Clinton did.
Fine, let's go.
Let's start right here, a week after his inauguration.
Oh, geez, that's either gays in the military or fear that Fleetwood Mac would stay together.
Well, some of both, actually. Okay, let's go to March.
Ah, see, a precipitous rise like that indicates massive bloodshed. Was that when he bombed Baghdad?
Exactly, and the reason?
Because of the attempted assassination on Bush.
We were angry about that?
Well, his kid does own the Texas Rangers.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Well, let's go all the way to November right here.
Oh, geez, I don't know, Rich. Give me a hint.
Okay. Giant sucking sound.
Heidi Fleiss?
This is when his popularity didn't go up, even though he got NAFTA passed.
Ah.
Okay, ready for the speed round now?
Yep.
Here we go. We got 30 seconds. I give you a topic, you give me the joke.
Shoot.
Okay. Haitian immigrants.
Geez, apparently this country has a policy not accepting boatloads of blacks unless you can produce a bill of sale first.
Ooh, poignant. Okay, Somalia. Tick, 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 tick.
Pass.
Bosnia. Tick, tick, tick.
Pass.
Quraysh.
He said that he was waiting for a sign from God to come out. Apparently being surrounded by federal agents for a month wasn't a clear enough sign.
Very nice. Okay, Somalia again. Tick, 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 tick.
Pass. You're merciless.
Okay, that's time's up, but you did so well, you get to come back next year and play What's My Line Graph.
Great. Don't I get a consolation prize?
Sure. What do you want?
I could certainly use a segue to the next piece, Rich.
Okay. Well, here's Steve Steisch with a look at the way things went with our new friends, the Russians.
Thanks, guys. 1993 was something of a political roller coaster for the people of Russia. They were trapped inside of a governmental space mountain with Boris Yeltsin leaning against the lever. Americans may think they've never experienced a similar kind of national turmoil, but they have. Back in 1985, when our country was threatened by New Coke, the parallels are chilling. In 1984, the top executives of Coca-Cola, the most popular drink in the world, faced a marketing dilemma: increased competition and falling revenues. Likewise, in the late 80s, many of the top execs of the USSR faced a marketing problem: revenues dropping, consumer confidence perilously low. By 1985, the genius boy honchos of Coke decided that the answer was an improved formula. New Coke, they would call it.
A new taste for Coke, destined to refresh tomorrow's world.
The Russian execs concluded the problem was communism and decided to improve their formula with democracy, creating a new Russia. Just weeks after it was introduced, New Coke had become the Red Menace. Groups of outraged Coke fiends organized to demand that Coca-Cola bring back that old Coke taste.
Look at that foam. See, you can tell it's real.
Just months after it had been introduced, New Russia was fomenting fervor in communist sympathizers and all others who pined for the crisp, icy cold taste of old Russia. Anti-Yeltsin protesters broke into buildings in their search for real refreshment. The resistance to New Coke grew, and Coca-Cola seemed unable to quash the public outcry.
The new Coke stinks. It stinks, man.
Parliament locked itself inside the Russian White House and remained there, even after Yeltsin turned off the electricity. They would not budge, and Yeltsin seemed unable to quash dissent.
I'm communist.
Я таких людей не могу любить.
I hate such people as Yeltsin is.
The people rejoiced.
I love it.
In reaction to the dissent, Yeltsin shelled his own White House, killed 200 people, imposed martial law, and muzzled the press. He had brought back Russia Classic, and the people did not rejoice. Yeltsin now appears to be eradicating all references to Russia's past. He's replaced the hammer and sickle logo with the classic Tsarist shield and banished Lenin's tomb to some historical gulag. Today, while New Coke is still technically on the market, you'd have to be Indiana Jones to find a can with the block letter logo. In Russia's election 2 weeks ago, ultra-nationalist Vladimir Zhirinovsky took the brass ring. Western leaders fear he's the kind of guy that likes to shake up the can before handing you a soda. A kooky, repressive leader? That's Russia Classic.
So Zhirinovsky looks like the choice of a new generation.
He's the right-wing one, baby. Uh-huh.
Coming up next, how to make the Bobbitt saga into a cutting-edge TV movie when a year's worth returns on A&E.
You know, whenever a local news station gets a hold of a really hot video, they always find these incredibly lame excuses to include it in the newscast. Well, here at A Year's Worth, we make no excuses. We're going to show this video because we kind of want to see this video. All right, now the first one is the world's largest chimney being demolished.
Oh,
right?
this looks good.
You've seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Oh, it's nice. Look at that. Yeah. Yeah, that's NASA's Into the Earth space program. That's at least it works.
At least it works.
Yeah.
There's a riverboat running into a bridge.
Oh.
This Mississippi River floods. We got to see it again. All right.
The
real
11
quick.
o'clock lounge show is canceled.
This guy wins the Joseph Hazelwood Award for excellence in pilot.
Yeah.
Limbo dancing on the promenade deck begins immediately.
Those glasses from 1 Hour Optical.
Hey.
Here we go. I love this.
You've seen this, the dunes blowing
Beautiful,
by.
yeah. Joel Silver's barbecue. Yeah.
How many people know they did this at 7 and 9?
Yeah.
And Slappy White manned the plunger in the second time.
Yeah, this is actually Siegfried and Roy's tribute to Waco. A lot of people have seen it. Yeah,
And you
beautiful.
tip the guy for the worst seats. Right?
Yeah, you try to
sit
get back.
far-
Yeah, you try to
far.
sit as far as you can. Yeah.
And this is a cute bear.
Oh, what a cute. Any animal shot always works. Yeah, that's
She's
terrific.
a little leery about
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
But it's an adorable animal. Look
It
at
really
that.
is
Really,
adorable.
how
Look at that.
cute.
I
That's
can't
just
believe
great.
what
And,
a-
Turns to tragedy.
Oh, no.
She didn't get hurt. She did not
Too
get
bad
hurt.
that honey sent him Cologne.
And this is Pamplona every damn year. Guys pay money. They pay money to do this. These guys have paid money.
What episode of Roseanne is this?
Hey.
Yeah, the Bulls aren't
know
the
what?
same without Michael Jordan.
Now watch the guy right down here. Hey, what happened?
Oh,
Holy.
this is the one day of the year where the Bulls actually get some payback.
And Steve, justice is hard to come by. Which conveniently brings us to our next topic. Crime. Leah, what do you have on crime?
Thanks, Will. Thanks for that last little jolt of testosterone in the Pamplona footage. You know, the trend of lightness in America lives on in '93. Now, instead of those heavy incarceration-intensive jail sentences, our biggest criminals were treated to something new and refreshing: jail light. Lawrence Powell and Stacey Kuhn, the Tootie and Muldoon of civil rights, were sentenced to a 30-month prison term for their part in the Rodney King beating. They'll be back in the swing of things in a little over 2 years. Charles H. Keating used to run the Lincoln Savings and Loan, whose motto was, "You can rip off all of the people most of the time." The feds wanted Keating to do 30 years, but he's 70 years old, so he gets jail light. Another creative financier, Mike Milken, got back in business in '93. Released after serving only 2 of his 10 years, Milken's been teaching at UCLA and taping the lectures, which he plans to sell with the help of the school. Think Mike Tyson's going to teach dating etiquette at UCLA when he gets back? A warning to all of you hippies on the lam out there, this trend is not retroactive. Catherine Ann Power turned herself in this year for driving the getaway car in the murder of a cop some 23 years ago. The former student radical was sentenced to 8 years and is forbidden to profit from her crime. She should talk to Mike Milken. He seems to know how to get around these things.
Criminally good job, Miss Leah. You know what America loves? Ann Jillian, everybody. No. That's silly. America loves it when people mess up. And the worse they mess up, the better. Hollywood especially. 1993 was Movie of the Week heaven. We got 3 different Amy Fisher stories. 3! That should be against the Geneva Convention. Production on the Waco and the World Trade Center movies began within minutes after the incidents themselves. But you know, there's one story that grabbed a hold of America in a special place, and it still hasn't let go. Isn't that right, Rich?
Well put, Will. You know, when Lorena Bobbitt took it upon herself to, how can I say this discreetly, appropriate hubby's love totem, the first person she called was not the police, not a hospital, but a TV movie producer.
Are you kidding?
Hey, I read it in Newsweek. How could I be wrong? Anyway, I had to ask myself, how do you produce a Bobbitt TV movie? I went to Hollywood. I asked some movers and shakers how they do it. First, let's meet the players. Ken Raskoff is a TV movie exec who is currently developing one of several Menendez Brothers projects. Lizzie Borden has directed several feature films, including Working Girls and Love Crimes with Patrick Bergen and Sean Young. Frank von Zernick is a veteran TV movie maker who, along with his partner Robert Sertner, has produced everything from Tehillah Nation to Police Centerfold. Ray Richmond is a witty and affable television critic for the Los Angeles Daily News. And finally, Don Siegel, a man who has pitched, written, and produced TV movies for the better part of 2 decades.
Okay, first of all, what's the pitch? What's the movie?
The War of the Roses meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You'd have to really set her up like a heroine. I mean, no guy in the audience is going to like this chick no matter what. She could save the life of General Schwarzkopf, and at the end of this picture, guys are going to hate her for what she did because she went after his manhood.
No, the one-line pitch of the Bobbitt story is she had to have it. And so she got it, and then didn't know what to do with it after it was in her hand.
I think we should actually do the story of the cop who finds the evidence. That, to me, is an interesting story. What do you look for?
Or the knife sharpeners. That had to be one sharp knife.
I've been playing with the pitch. You know, boy meets girl, boy beats girl, girl de-meets boy.
So you have a title for this?
My wife actually had the name for the picture if we had pitched it, Roadkill, because it was found in the road, apparently, by an elderly couple.
No, Virginia, there is no penis, maybe, because they are in the state of Virginia, after all. I think I'll have to stick with the unkindest cut.
Oh, that's a good one, too, the dismembering.
Okay, who's your dream cast?
This is TV, Roseanne and Tom Arnold, maybe. Justine Bateman and Jerry Seinfeld. I could see them going to the sitcoms, maybe. Or kind of just for a bizarre cast. Sean Young and Glenn Fry.
They may bring Amy Fisher back for this one as her first acting role to play Lorene Bobbitt. There's the casting. Amy Fisher plays Lorene Bobbitt.
Shannon Doherty, because they're not going to want people to like her. And someone like D.B. Sweeney, who's a good all-around actor, you know. Or they'll get Timothy Hutton and try to make him look young.
Bette Midler?
Well, there's a black comedy possibility.
I would focus on the operation. You know, tick-tock, tick-tock. Can they save it? And so maybe it is the star. Who knows?
The big question is, how do you shoot the key scene in the movie and still get it on network TV?
You have a lot of, like, reactive staring downward.
You know, obviously, it's showing everything but the actual snip. But the actual snip is less interesting because what scares everyone is what you would think of if you were a man if you had it cut off.
You know, it would be an editor's dream scene where you'd have close-ups of knife, close-ups of Lorena, close-ups of John sleeping, you know, rapid-fire close-ups, and you would go out on what would be Act 3, which would be the hour break, with her lifting up the bed covers, and you'd see a close-up of the knife in the air a la Norman Bates, you know, and you might even get the final stroke, but you would never, of course, see, as we would say in a violence movie, the impact shot.
How do you shoot it? It's any number of ways. I mean, you know, you can really cheat and do it from her point of view or his point of view. Well, it wouldn't be his point of view.
Its point of view, you know.
It's the camera as the knife comes into the frame.
You have to do it from the perspective of the penis itself. You got, the camera is indeed the penis, say. So you have the actress coming up essentially to the camera, because we are the camera, and the camera is the penis. And she's slicing there, gets it in her hand, and she's essentially carrying the camera away as opposed to carrying anything visible. So there is blood spattering everywhere, but it's blood spattering from a camera as opposed to a penis.
One final note. Rumor has it that he signed with CAA, she signed with ICM, and as for the star itself, William Morris has that deal all sewn up.
Rumor has it. Yeah, thanks, Rich. We here at A Year's Worth think it important to hear from you.
Definitely Ross Perot. Yeah, Ross Perot.
We'll have more of A Year's Worth with Will Durst in a minute's worth with Will Durst here on A&E.
Let's talk about money. First off, sifting through the year's news, I found some business milestones that I thought worth noting. 2 great American companies celebrated anniversaries. Tabasco sauce, made by the McElhenney Company, turned 125 years old. Pretty impressive, considering a bottle of Tabasco lasts longer than most marriages. And the hog is 90. Harley Davidson, made in Milwaukee, thank you very much, had its 90th anniversary this year. And as you might guess, these guys know how to throw one hell of a party. Harley is the last big American motorcycle company, and considering the number of people with its logo tattooed on them, it should be around for a good long time. And in the birth and death department, Freedom Air, the airline designed specifically for the smoking flyer, both arrived and departed this year. I mean, you got to hand it to them. They found a way to make flying a small airline even more hazardous.
So there was like hacking and non-hacking sections?
Can you imagine being on a plane where every single person smoked? When you open the door, you feel like you're in a Cheech and Chong movie.
I think Howard Stern is completely overexposed.
When we complain about government spending, which I do for a living, we usually think of big boondoggles like the Lost Mars probe or the Hubble or anything else with the letters NASA in it. But sometimes the government shows out for useful things. Here's Steve with Your Government at Work.
I was just leafing through a great little government publication, the Hazardous Materials Storage and Handling Handbook. It's small enough to take along on a picnic, and it tells you everything you need to know if you're lucky enough to be working with hazardous materials. This handy volume is published by the Defense Logistics Agency. Logistics is a military science, and the DLA guides military scientists with their important work. Sometimes those scientists must work with some pretty nasty chemicals. That's why the DLA put out this handbook, which is beautifully illustrated in color. The realistic pictures help workers better understand the true nature of unstable materials. Now, most of the tips are just good sense. Like this one. Honey, where are you? I'm in the bathroom, dear, getting the uranium tailings off my skin. Of course, safety around hazardous materials is a team effort. When some chemical has caused you to burst into flame, always ask a coworker to gently pat out the fire. However, this picture seems to say, when there's a really big fire, send one of the older guys in with a dime store fire extinguisher. Just because it's hazardous waste doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself. The guy in this drawing appears to be whistling as he works. A little plutonium down the toilet. No big deal. And here's the best tip. Think. Yes, think. Maybe a job at Burger King would be better than inhaling sulfuric acid 8 hours a day. It's informative, and it's available at your local government bookstore. A great gift idea from the Defense Logistics Agency. And another great example of your government at work.
Let's talk about me. Me, damn it, me! No, let's talk about the media. Every year, Americans are bombarded by hours and hours of phony news coverage. Things that are either A, not true, or B, not news. Ooh, it's hot in Phoenix in August. Let's do team coverage. Meanwhile, legitimate news gets buried underneath the stinky residue generated by the hype. This is who we should have been watching on the news in June. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's the second woman ever confirmed on the Supreme Court. This is big news that was covered with all the depth of a pie tin. You know what we saw instead? Endless reports on Pepsi tampering. Yeah, people finding syringes in their soda. There was only one problem. Wasn't true. Didn't happen. Not even possible. Cans are closed at the factory at a rate of 2,000 a minute. Not even Keith Richards is that quick with a needle. Not even William Burroughs. And what about Clinton's haircut? Him holding up air traffic for a $200 Christoph haircut on Air Force One. Nice story. Wasn't true. LAX was only using one runway at the time, and Christoph's salon doesn't even have a $200 haircut on their price list. And furthermore, who cares? So what? What's he supposed to do? Go to Supercuts, get a hip-hop fade with USA burned into the bag? What about the gains in the military compromise that the Pentagon settled on that week? What about Clinton's child immunization proposal? No, the president got a haircut. Alert me next time he clips his toenails. And you know this year was also the 30th anniversary of JFK's death. You know the latest revisionist theory is of what happened? Oswald shot him. What? 30 years of whacked out conspiracy theories? We're back to the beginning? You know what? I got a theory. He's dead. Get over it. I'm much better now. Rich, isn't this a perfect time for a book report?
Well, Americans bought more books than ever in 1993, which seems like an encouraging sign until you see what they are. Rush Limbaugh, Howard Stern, Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, this stuff is to literature what Cheese Whiz is to Roquefort. You may as well watch TV. I mean, it's cheaper, right? Look, I went to a bookstore where the best-selling books will never, ever be on TV, except for now.
Welcome to Amok. The bookstore was something for the whole family. If Dad's into whips and chains, Mom's into good vibrations, your older brother is up for a federal judgeship, and Sis is into borderline zines and blowfish lamps. Books here run the political gamut from bleeding heart whimpering airbag liberal to way right of Rush Limbaugh. And then there are all the books that, transcend politics. In fact, they pretty much defy all description, except to say you're not going to find them in a regular bookstore unless the Marquis de Sade takes over B. Dalton. I found these books shocking, disturbing, very shocking, and very, well illustrated. Anyway, getting back to the top-selling books, one of the Amok partners, Brian King, showed me their how-to book on homicide.
And it's a book on how to kill, and it has belt buckles that shoot bullets, guns that shoot around corners, using fungus to kill people, various things of that sort. And then once you kill somebody, when you have to get rid of the body, this is how to be your own undertaker.
That's not all, kids. There's a variety of gift book ideas for the Jack Kevorkian wannabe in your family. After showing me Amok's how-to books for the budding horticulturist, the other partner, Stuart Sweezy, showed me the single best-selling book in the entire store. No, not Howard Stern. It's Bob Flanagan, Super Masochist.
In this book, you can read about a show that Amok put on called Nailed with Bob, where as a climax, he nailed his scrotal sack to a board.
I think you've all done that at one time or another. I don't think that's... no.
All right, no big deal.
Well, what do you expect from a store specializing in anarchy, paranoia, and chaos? If that's not 1993, I don't know what is. This isn't a store for everyone necessarily. It's a store for a certain kind of clientele. Quiet. A loner. Someone who keeps to himself a lot. Yeah.
Looks like you had a great time, man.
I had a great time. In fact, I'm going to do my own show there.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be called Pop. I got a big pop rivet gun, okay? See, now what I do, I stand up against the wall, okay? See?
I would like to see Mr. Robert Dole just absolutely eviscerated by a bear. That would be nice.
1993 saw an explosion in theme parks, but not your typical cotton candy and tilt-a-whirl deals. No, American palates have become much too jaded for that. The new breed of theme parks got to be sophisticated enough to attract baby boomers in search of their lost youth, as well as teenagers who've grown up on drive-by shootings and Sega Genesis. This is what Legoland will look like when they're finished building it in Carlsbad, California. Nice that all those unemployed defense workers have found a use for their skills. Up until this year, Civil War reenactments were strictly the domain of guys with strange facial hair configurations who couldn't let go of the past. But now Disney, a name synonymous with family fun, has promised us Disney's America. It's going to be a 3,000-acre park in Virginia where visitors can relive America's proud history, probably without experiencing smallpox, Jim Crow, or Wounded Knee. Of course, for many Americans, the phrase Fantasyland has a whole different connotation. Ever since it was a glimmer in Bugsy Siegel's eye, Las Vegas has been known as Sin City, a 24-hour mecca for booze, gambling, and sex. But in the last few years, there's been a disturbing change that's threatening this town's sleazy overbelly to its very core. And that's a sinister element of wholesomeness that's creeping into Las Vegas.
There's a whole new attempt to get a different strata of people interested in Las Vegas. 85% of the people in the United States have never been to Las Vegas. But there's a lot of reasons for them to come here other than just to gamble.
We're a community of events. Every day is an event here in Las Vegas.
Boy, even those panhandling, window-washing, squeegee guys turn it into an event here in Las Vegas. This is the Luxor Hotel and Casino. It's modeled after ancient Egypt, in case you hadn't guessed. Look at this. At night, laser light beams shoot out of the eyes of the Sphinx and project onto the obelisk across the way. Gee, think it was designed by a guy?
Las Vegas is continuing to be innovative and lead the parade as far as being the ultimate, and I underscore ultimate, resort destination in the world.
Continuing in Luxor's user-friendly vein, here's Virtualand. They've got every video game you can think of here, as well as pinball, virtual reality, you name it. All violent enough to satisfy prepubescent appetites. Although, if they really wanted to make it authentically Egyptian, maybe they should have included a game where you have to assassinate Anwar Sadat.
What are the tributaries or little rivers of the Nile called?
Juveniles. It started happening about the time that gaming started proliferating throughout the United States. So if everybody starts having gambling, what do you do to still keep them coming to Las Vegas?
Last year, 7.9% of Vegas vacationers consisted of families, but hotel owners are hoping all that will change. Now you no longer have to be on a drinking, gambling, or whoring binge to come to Las Vegas. These days, it's as easy to find good, clean family fun as falling off a trike. This is the MGM Grand, arguably the newest cubic zirconia jewel in Las Vegas's crown. This behemoth hotel and casino also features a theme park, so the kids can have fun while mom and dad gamble away their college money.
I think I've been very fortunate to see the evolution of a town from a little tiny town to what it is, and I'm very fortunate to have seen all those different stages of growth.
Come one smart camel.
Bugsy Siegel is spinning in his grave. These images aren't exactly what you would associate with family entertainment, but just outside of Berlin, German entrepreneur Frank Georgi plans to open Aussie-town, the final solution in theme parks. It ought to be a big draw because it's going to be a recreation of East Germany during the Cold War.
You gotta be kidding.
I am serious as Stalin. It's going to be 500 acres, $200 million, barbed wire, guard dogs, secret police. It opens in '96, so make sure your papers are in order.
Yes, Trump.
Coming up next, Makeover Magic with Hillary Clinton.
Every year has its winners and losers. People whose stock has risen like sourdough bread or fallen like a skydiver into a prize fight. Now, often, our instinct is to kick those who are down because, well, it's a lot more fun. But right now, let's help some of those unfortunates to find the bright side. Leah, George Bush, find the bright side.
Well, now he can barf all he wants without it making headlines.
H. Ross Perot. Well, he's still a billionaire.
That people are sending money to. Money to the billionaire. Ding, 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 ding. I have a tendency to overreact. Michael Jackson.
Well, at least he doesn't have to pretend to like LaToya anymore.
Something.
Burt Reynolds?
I think Dom DeLuise will still work with him.
Chevy Chase. Anybody?
Well, he's still got his health.
We'll get back to pointless celebrity bashing later. But right now, how about some cogent political analysis? Leah, what's the deal with Hillary's hair?
Oh, great. Make the chick do the fashion piece.
We can have Steve do the segment.
Okay. You know, It's not easy being the OVA behind the Oval Office. And while the First Lady's commitment to health care reform is unwavering, many chose instead to focus on her inability to stick with one hairdo. As a substance babe in a style-obsessed world, poor Hillary became the one blonde in this country who's reinvented herself more than Madonna.
She wasn't paying much attention to how she looked. I mean, she looked fine, but I mean, she had the long hair. She was almost like someone you'd meet on a college campus.
So let's chronicle the different hairstyles. She first showed up with this preppy headband style. Then it gets softer and fuller and longer. Then right around the Jennifer Flowers deal, see, she's starting to get that cowcatcher mole head look herself. Check out that cascade. The inaugural hat was a dodge. Then, no. On her trip to Asia, she's cash, and look, her old friend is back. I like that. It shows that she's loyal. Back on the hill, she's getting serious now. Shorter. A little shorter now. Ooh, bullseye. And shorter. I like that little spiky thing. That's Trey Annie Lennox. Until Hillary's finally come into her own as First Lady. Isn't that right, Bill?
And she's now looking almost like a cross between Joan of Arc and, you know, Prince Valiant. She looks pure and chaste and ready to do battle.
I love that last Susan Powter Stop the Insanity do. Maybe that's how she should sell the country on her health care plan, with her own infomercial.
Rush Limbaugh.
Those of you taking notes at home may have noticed we missed some notables. We know that. So to pick up some of the slack and to tap in on one of music's hottest trends, here's Steve Stiche with a year's worth Unplugged.
They've had their 15 minutes, they've all had their say. Why won't they hit the road, Jack? Why won't they go away? Help me, Mama, I wanna kill Madonna. Take out Sharon Stone, Marky Mark and Fabio. Now the hook, please, for Soul Man, Ted and Whoopi, and drop a big fat bomb on you-know-who and Tom. No more tears for the gang from Cheers. A big oy vey to Letterman and Jay. The heave-ho to Rush and Ross Perot. A great big hole should open for Garth Brooks and Michael Bolton. Macaulay Culkin, Shannon Doherty. Those are two big babies we don't need to see. Les Aspin no more, and Demi Moore is less. Make Schwarzenegger beat up Meatloaf and have Barney eat what's left. Kurt Cobain, hasta mañana. How about a lid on Donald and the Marla? Howard Stern was trouble from the start, and please don't let those waves break my achy, breaky heart. Michael Jackson, tell us if you're lying, or you'll be by the phone waiting on Conan O'Brien. Lollapalooza, what a snore. Beavis and Butthead telling jokes they got from Pauly Shore. Bert and Lonnie, here's your invitation. See you next time Seinfeld deals with masturbation. And this year, I simply must remember to put out a big contract on Andrew Lloyd Webber. They've had their 15 minutes, they've all had their say. Why won't they hit the road, Jack? Why won't they go away? Oh, why won't they go away? Oh, why won't they go away, way, way? Why won't they go away? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Coming up next, a final desperate attempt to get you to like us. It's the Year in Cute Animal Stories when a year's worth returns on A&E.
After 50 minutes of floods, drive-bys, and starvation, any self-respecting cynical news director will end the show with a cute animal piece. Well, we've given you a year's worth of bad news. Now, here's a year's worth of cute animal pieces with Rich.
You know, Will, as bad a year as it was for the rest of the world, it was a great year for cute animal pieces.
Excellent.
These bits of video folderol break down neatly into 3 categories. First, animals were cute because they're babies. These baby leopards are cute as a hot tub full of puppies in their pre-man-eating stage. And here's a twofer. Those 2 baby elephants you saw in that local news kicker to make you forget all about the irrational carnage on the streets of our major cities. And finally, let's hear it. Aww, a baby flamingo who toddles around, and when the mother flamingo gets tired of baby hogging the spotlight goes out. Category 2, animals who are cute because they're doing stuff. Sunset Sam, for example, creates modern art. That's not as cute as, say, a skydiving pig, maybe, but you got to admit, a porpoise Picasso is pretty darn cute. Speaking of skydiving pigs, well, who can remember that downer story on abandoned nuclear waste sites when your local anchor wraps up the cast with this airborne pork-tacular? Nice shades, too. On what must have been the slowest news day of the century, some news crew gifted us with a beer-drinking goat. Ever wonder what future civilizations are going to make of stories like this? And finally, when all else fails, frisbee-playing dogs. These cavorting canines are, yes, sure to perk up even the most nice grab. Down in the dumps news watcher on the spin that puppy, spin him, go get it, go get it, go get it, back, makes the grab. Most depressing news days. Category 3, mutant animals or cuties. These are the most insidious cute animal stories because stations pretend they have actual news value. Tear out that Clinton healthcare story, Bob. A 2-headed turtle was born at the zoo. Now here's Cocky, the non-feathered sweater-wearing parrot. His story is that he fell, or rather was pushed out of the nest. A family found him and took him to a vet who said, and I'm quoting now, wring his neck. Hey. If that had happened, there'd be no more Cocky, and we'd have to end the newscast with more body counts from Mogadishu. Finally, the news director's friend, the 6-legged pig.
My son jumped back. I mean, even on the outside of the pen, say, what is that? Good Lord.
Well, there's your year in cute animal stories. If you're not a cute baby, a cute overachiever, or a cute mutant, you just don't cut it on local TV news. Sorry, Socks. Bone up on your frisbee. We'll talk.
1993, we got to see Strom Thurmond on the Senate floor during the Roberta Achtenberg hearing scream out loud, "No decent heterosexual has ever engaged in sodomy." And to their credit, the Senate broke into laughter. Hell, Strom is 90 years old. He's 90. I mean, some 90-year-olds have probably engaged in sodomy by mistake. We saw Yeltsin announce that he wanted to learn the capitalist system by borrowing billions of dollars. Hey, if you ask me, he's already figured it out. Now, I see 94 is even weirder. I see Clinton having Ross Perot picked up under the stalking law. I see Lorena Bobbitt being convicted by an all-woman jury for littering. I can imagine Rush Limbaugh becoming so hot that they have to cancel his show when the fat in his brain begins to sizzle on the air. And I can see Hillary Clinton getting her health care plan passed. At least I hope she does. I'm self-employed. My plan for a rainy day is to become exceedingly wet. The doctors are against it. The lawyers are against it. The insurance companies are against it, which makes me think this must be a pretty damn good idea. She limited mental health care benefits, which personally I saw as a backhanded slap at Congress. But something has to be done. I mean, right now, physician-assisted suicide should be considered the presenting of the bill. And speaking of Kevorkian, this show is history. Have a good 94. Thanks, you guys.
There's more comedy coming your way. Richard Jimmy hosts Caroline's Comedy Hour.